Hi guys, today we're going to learn how to play a song called Baby's Arms by Kurt Vile. It's a song that he originally recorded on an album called Smoke Ring for My Halo, but he's also recorded a version with the Sadies. The Sadies version is probably my favourite, but they're both great, but he plays it quite a bit faster on his album than he does with the Sadies. So if you haven't heard that one, I would really recommend listening to it on YouTube, just because it's really nice in that you can hear the guitars very clearly. You can hear his guitar, it's really high in the mix. So we're going to learn how to play this song, but firstly we're going to make sure we're in the right tuning. So this song is in open B minor, which is quite an unusual tuning, but if you've ever played in open D, it's really close to open D. It's just the second and the fifth strings that are tuned to a B. So we're going to go through the tuning together now and make sure we're in tune. So first string is D. And then, as I said, the second string is B. So just like in standard tuning. Third string, F sharp. Fourth string, D. Fifth string is B. And the sixth string is D. So once you've got that tuned up, it should sound like this, which is like an open B minor chord. It's a really nice sounding tune, and it's always really nice to try different open tunings. I find that it just gives you something more to experiment with, like almost like having a different palette to paint with. And it's really nice to just try different songs in different tunings for that reason. This is one that I play a lot, and I always come back to. I learned it years ago, but it's a really cool song to just like chill out and play. So we're going to go over the first part of the song together now. So the first part of the song is... So that sounds quite complicated, but it is just one pattern that's repeated. So we're going to go through that together now. Firstly, you've got to think about what your left hand is doing, but there's very little that it is doing. It's mostly in the right hand. So on your left hand, you're fretting on the first fret on the third string, and you're playing that note, and you're also playing the open fifth string. So that's how it should sound. I'm going to get my hand as close to the camera as possible so you can see that. So you can see my finger is on the third string on the first fret. So that's all that I'm fretting there. And then you just play in the third string and the fifth string together. So it should sound like that. And then on the next part, you're just playing open those same two strings. So you can hear that tone in the song. You'll recognise that. But we're gonna go over the right hand technique now. So as I say, you play that together, and then you play those two strings. So you play the fourth string and the second string. So I'm gonna get my right hand as close to the camera as possible now. So that's all you're playing to begin with. So your thumb is going from the fifth string down to the fourth string, and you almost want to feel like you're anchoring your thumb there. So if this is a technique that you've not done before, it's quite often called Travis picking. So this is quite a simple Travis picking pattern, because you're not really playing a lead line over the top of a rhythm as you commonly do with a Travis picking style. You're just playing a rhythm part for the most part. So yeah, just practice that really slowly. So fourth, second, and then on the next bit it's going, so it's going fifth string, then it's going third string, and then fourth string. So the second part of it goes, so if you put that all together, it's that's the whole pattern almost. If you can play that pattern, you can play this song. And what's great about Travis picking style songs is that's quite common across a lot of them. So just practice that really, really slowly. And if I'm going too quickly, you can use the function on YouTube to slow it right down. So make sure that you can play that first before you move on to the next stage. That's the first measure of this piece. So you kind of go in, and then that's the end of the first measure, and then you're playing the fifth string and the first string together, open. So. And then after that you're playing the same pattern again. So even though it might sound different, if you're playing it up to speed, it will be correct. So just play it really slowly. So just practice that. So for the second part of it, I am actually taking my finger off the fret entirely. So to demonstrate that, I'll take my hand away from the fretboard so you can see that it is just using the open strings of the open B minor tuning to make that sound. So you're just playing those same two strings together at first, which are the third string and the fifth string, but you're just playing it open for the second chord. I say chord, it's not really a chord, but you know what I mean, two strings together. So just play that whole part through really slowly before you move on to the next part of the song. So just really slowly. Just playing a loop. And then when you can do that, move on to the next part. Sounds quite a bit different, but it's actually the same pattern as you were playing before. So the is the same as, but you've just changed your left hand position. So for that second part, you want to make sure that your ring finger is on the third fret of the eighth, sorry, on the third string of the eighth fret, there. And then your middle finger is on the fifth string on the eighth fret. So together, they sound like that, okay? And then your right hand is doing exactly the same thing as you were before, so. So that's the first part of it. And then on the second part, it's almost the same, but you just you're just adding one finger and then taking it away. So the first part of it, you've only got your ring finger on the third fret of the third string. So it sounds like that. And then for the second part, you've got your middle finger on the third fret of the fifth string. So it's kind of like you're taking away your third finger and adding your middle finger for the second part. So it's the same pattern, but you're not playing the fifth string and the first string together for that one. You're just playing that first pattern. So it's, again, I'll go over it again. And try playing that in a loop. And use the YouTube function to slow my hand down as well if you need to. There's actually a really good video on YouTube where Kurt goes into like his behaviour when it comes to learning a new picking pattern. It's a show called Guitar Moves. So if you just put in Guitar Moves, Kurt Vile, into YouTube, you might have seen it already, you might not have done, but it's presented by a guy called Matt Sweeney, and I really recommend it, not just for the Kurt Vile episode, but for all the episodes, because there's a lot of really good guitar players on there. There'll be a lot of players that you like on there. But in Kurt's episode, he talks about how he kind of zones out almost whilst he's learning these picking patterns, so that he was like kind of talking about how he would first of all start playing it slowly and like find it really hard, like with the alternating thumb, and then he'd kind of zone out and just be watching TV or doing something else. But before he knew it, like it would improve by degrees, like until he could play it without thinking about it. And it's kind of like a part of your brain that takes over and plays it automatically after a certain amount of time. It's a strange thing until you've actually experienced it. But I found that with fingerstyle guitar much more than any other style of guitar playing, that it's kind of like a very almost passive thing to learn. But it's so rewarding when you figure it out. So once you've done that bit, it goes on to the next part, which is so that's actually a different picking pattern. So it starts off with the, which is just like a hammer on and a pull off with an open string on the 4th fret on the 4th string. So that's the first part of it. And then so that's a different pattern. So I'm going to try and get my hand close to the screen again for this part. Sorry. So you can see, so it's going 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string first, and then it's going back to the top and playing 2nd string, 4th string. So again, just play that really slowly. And just practice it a lot before you move on to the next part, or until you move on to putting it all together. And then when you put it all together, it's kind of like the best way to do it is to just listen to the record, because he doesn't always use that turnaround, and he doesn't always play it with the pull off either. So he'll sometimes go straight back into the first part of the verse. In the second verse he does that, so the second verse kind of goes, and then he goes back to the start again. But then he'll go into the turnaround. And sometimes he won't even use the pull-off. So this is what it sounds like without using the pull-off. So you saw I didn't actually do the pull off there, but the best thing I can say to get good at that is to just listen to the record really and watch the live performance with the Sadies, because you do kind of hear the guitar a lot better in that. And one thing that I wanted to mention as well is the like lead break that you have after the second verse. So you can hear it in the Sadies version as like a separate guitar that's not playing fingerstyle. It's just kind of like a single picked like line, like lead line over the top. But I've kind of tried to make a lead line to go in after the second verse for my own version. So I'll try and teach you that now. So I'll play it first. Using the same picking pattern as we have been using, but just add in like literally just single note sort of punctuations to the first string. So I'll try and go over it really simply. So for the first part of it, you're just keeping your fingers in the same position as you do for the second part of the verse. So that chord position that we've talked about before. And then you just add in your little finger on the 9th fret, like that. So you're playing the first string and the 5th string together again. So that's just kind of breaking it up. So. And then you're leaving your fingers in that position. So for the first 2 bars, it's in that position. And then for the next 2 bars, you're taking these fingers off and you're just using your little finger with open strings. Oh, sorry. So for the first go around, it's going. Then it's going 7, 4. So the first one is going 9, 12, 4. The second one is going 9, 7, 4. So remember that for the first 4 bars, you have your hand in the same position as you do for the verse. And then it's open strings. I just thought that was a pretty cool like little thing to put in, but you can make your own. You could pick out your own melody for it when you get confident like playing that sort of style of picking. I would kind of like just make up your own melody as well. But yeah, check out that Kurt Weill interview because he talks about his influences too, and one of his like biggest influences is a guy called John Fahey, who I really like, who does this style of playing a lot. He kind of like is the master of it, I think. But he uses open D a lot, open C tunings, and he does that kind of alternating like thumb bass line a lot. So if you like Kurt Weill, I would really recommend checking out Guitar Moves, but also John Fahey, and watching some of his live performances, because you could really get into this sort of style of guitar playing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll come back with some more tutorials when I think of another one to teach, and stay safe. Cheers.